In pouring rain, a disabled billionaire's son sinks in mud, ignored by passersby. A poor black teen spots him, dashes through sludge, and lifts him to safety, igniting an unthinkable bond that transforms lives forever. Through the pouring rain and thickening mud, 10-year-old Eli Whitaker's wheelchair sank deeper into the ground, tilting precariously as panic gripped his small frame. His legs, paralyzed since a devastating accident years ago, offered no escape, and his cries for help were swallowed by the storm's roar. 50 feet away, his caregiver chatted obliviously on her phone, back turned to the chaos while passers-by, joggers, strollers, and suited professionals glanced and hurried on, deeming the disabled boy just another inconvenience in their busy lives. But then, out of the downpour, emerged 14-year-old Noah Thompson, a poor black boy in a soaked grocery store uniform, his worn sneakers already caked in muck as he sprinted toward the scene without a moment's hesitation. "I got you!" Noah shouted over the thunder, his voice steady despite the fear in his own heart. He didn't pause to consider the ruin of his only good pair of shoes, or the phone in his pocket that would short-circuit in the water. He saw not a billionaire's son, but a terrified child in need. And in that instant, he did the unthinkable. He abandoned all caution and dove into the rescue. Ripping off his shirt to gain traction on the slippery handles, Noah battled the mud's relentless pull, his muscles straining as branches snapped under his efforts to wedge them beneath the wheels. When the chair refused to budge, he made a choice that would stun anyone. Lifting Eli bodily from the seat, cradling him close like a brother, and carrying him through the treacherous sludge to safety. As they reached a bench under a sheltering tree, Noah didn't abandon Eli to fend for himself. He sat beside him, arm wrapped protectively to keep him steady, his own body a shield against the relentless rain. "Where's your family?" Noah asked softly, his breath ragged from the exertion. Eli, tears mixing with rain on his cheeks, whispered about his dad coming soon and the caregiver who had failed him. Together, they spotted her still engrossed in her call, unaware of the near tragedy. But in Noah's presence, Eli felt seen, not as a burden or a problem, but as a person worthy of unwavering help. Meanwhile, across town, billionaire Richard Whitaker's luxury car screeched through the streets, his heart pounding with dread after a frantic call about his son. He arrived to find the boys mud-covered and inseparable, Eli clinging to his rescuer with a mix of relief and awe. "He saved me, Dad," Eli murmured, his voice breaking, "when no one else would." Richard's eyes met Noah's, seeing the quiet strength in the teenager who had risked everything for a stranger. But to truly grasp the depth of this moment, we must rewind to the lives that led them here. 2 worlds apart, about to collide in ways no one could predict. This rainy afternoon in Riverside Park wasn't just a chance encounter. It was the spark of an extraordinary story of compassion, courage, and unbreakable bonds. What Noah did that day wasn't just a rescue. It was the beginning of a transformation that would redefine family, challenge prejudices, and inspire thousands. Stick around as we dive deeper into the backstories, the heartbreak, and the triumphs that turned mud and misery into hope and home. Richard Whitaker wasn't always the stoic billionaire whose name graced skyscrapers and charity galas across the city. Born into modest means, he had clawed his way up through sheer intellect and relentless drive, founding a tech empire that revolutionized data security and amassed him a fortune in the billions. But wealth, as Richard often reflected in quiet moments, was a double-edged sword. It provided every material comfort, but couldn't shield against life's cruelest blows. 5 years earlier, on a sunlit afternoon much like any other, a drunk driver had shattered his world. The crash claimed his beloved wife, Emily, and left their only son, Eli, with a severed spine and permanent paralysis from the waist down. Richard had been behind the wheel, unscathed physically but forever scarred by the guilt that whispered in his ear during sleepless nights. Why them? Why not me? In the aftermath, Richard threw himself into his work, expanding his company Whitaker Innovations into new realms of medical tech, hoping to fund research that might one day restore Eli's mobility. He hired the best specialists, outfitted their sprawling mansion with state-of-the-art accessibility features, ramps, voice-activated elevators, even a custom pool for hydrotherapy. Yet no amount of luxury could mend the emotional fractures. Eli, once a bubbly 5-year-old who dreamed of soccer stardom, withdrew into himself. The stares from strangers, the pitying whispers at school, chipped away at his spirit. "Why do they look at me like I'm broken, Dad?" Eli had asked one evening, his small hands clenched around the arms of his wheelchair. Richard's heart had broken anew, vowing to protect his son from a world that too often reduced people to their limitations. Lately, Eli's isolation had deepened. He refused invitations to playdates, opting instead for solitary hours in his room, tinkering with gadgets or reading about inventors who overcame odds. Richard noticed the change. The way Eli's eyes dimmed when discussing school, how he avoided mirrors that reflected his chair-bound reality. Desperate, Richard sought advice from therapists and doctors. His body may never walk again, one specialist had said gently. But his heart needs healing too. He must learn that he's more than his disability, that true worth lies in resilience and kindness. Richard nodded, but inside, doubt gnawed at him. How could he teach Eli to embrace a world that seemed so unkind? Hiring Mrs. Patterson, a seasoned caregiver with glowing references, was meant to be a step forward. She promised attentive care during Richard's long workdays, allowing Eli some independence, like park outings to feed the ducks, a simple joy from his pre-accident days. That morning, Eli had surprised Richard with a plea. "Can I go to the park today? Maybe someone will play with me this time." The hope in his voice was fragile, like glass, and Richard couldn't refuse. He kissed Eli's forehead, entrusted him to Mrs. Patterson, and headed to yet another medical consultation, clutching reports that reiterated the permanence of Eli's condition. As he sat in the sterile office, the doctor's words echoed, "Protect his spirit, Mr. Whitaker. The world can be cruel, but so can isolation." Little did Richard know that cruelty was unfolding in real time at Riverside Park, where his son's pleas went unheard amid the rain. Mrs. Patterson, distracted by personal woes, a daughter's messy divorce and incessant lawyer calls, had turned her back for just a few minutes, assuming Eli could manage. Those minutes stretched into disaster, setting the stage for an unlikely hero to enter their lives. Richard's wealth insulated him from many hardships, but it couldn't buy back time or prevent the pang of regret he felt for not being there himself. As the storm raged outside the doctor's window, his phone buzzed with the caregiver's belated panic. "Mr. Whitaker, there's been an incident." His world tilted, much like Eli's wheelchair in the mud, propelling him into a frantic drive that would lead to a meeting destined to rewrite their family's story. In the opulent halls of his life, Richard had everything, except the one thing money couldn't procure: genuine, selfless connection. That was about to change, courtesy of a boy from the other side of the tracks, whose own struggles had forged a heart of gold. Noah Thompson's life was a far cry from the gilded existence of the Whitakers, rooted in a cramped apartment in the city's overlooked edges, where survival demanded grit over glamour. At 14, Noah shouldered burdens that would crush most adults. Orphaned at 2 in a tragic car accident that claimed his parents, he was raised by his grandmother, Evelyn, a resilient 71-year-old whose love was fierce but whose health was fading. Evelyn had worked double shifts as a nurse for decades, instilling in Noah values of empathy and hard work. "Baby, we may not have much," she'd say, her voice warm like sunlight, "but we have our hearts, and hearts are for helping." Those words echoed in Noah's every action, shaping him into a young man who saw need not as a nuisance but as a call to action. Mornings in their tiny home began with Noah counting sparse bills, $20 for groceries, $15 for Evelyn's heart medication, leaving pennies for the rest. He'd spread peanut butter thinly on his sandwich to save the bulk for hers, then head to school, where he excelled despite distractions. Afternoons were for his job at Morton's Grocery, stocking shelves for minimum wage that barely covered essentials. When funds fell short, Noah mowed lawns or ran errands for neighbors, his black skin often drawing wary glances in a neighborhood rife with unspoken biases. Yet he held his head high, drawing strength from Evelyn's stories of community. How she'd shared meals with struggling families, sheltered kids after school. "Community means carrying each other," she'd remind him, her hands calloused from years of labor. Evelyn's heart condition had worsened lately, her breaths shallow, her steps labored. Noah noticed the skipped pills to stretch supplies, the way she'd pretend to eat so he wouldn't worry. "I'm fine, baby," she'd insist, but her pallor told otherwise. That afternoon, as rain began during his shift, Mr. Morton offered an umbrella, a small kindness Noah accepted for Evelyn's sake. His route home cut through Riverside Park, a shortcut saving precious minutes to spend with her before she dozed off. Little did he know, this path would intersect with destiny, pulling him into a storm both literal and life-altering. Noah's world was one of quiet perseverance, marked by the absence of luxuries but rich in character. He dreamed of robotics and, Science. Checking library books on advanced tech, but reality tethered him to survival. As he trudged through the park, umbrella battling the wind, he spotted Eli. Not as a rich kid, but as a scared boy ignored by the world. In that moment, Evelyn's teachings surged. Hearts for helping. Noah didn't hesitate. He acted, bridging divides of class and race with pure compassion. 3 hours before the park incident, the paths of Eli and Noah began converging in subtle ways. In the Whitaker mansion, Eli wheeled himself to the window, watching rain clouds gather, his plea for a park visit born from a rare spark of optimism. "Maybe today will be different," he told Richard, who reluctantly agreed, dialing Mrs. Patterson. She arrived promptly, her professional demeanor masking the turmoil of her personal life. Endless calls about her daughter's custody battle. "I'll take excellent care," she assured, wheeling Eli out as Richard headed to his appointment, reports in hand. Across town, Noah finished school, rushing to Morton's amid darkening skies. His shift dragged, shelves heavy with stock, but thoughts of Evelyn propelled him. Mr. Morton's umbrella gift felt like a boon as rain intensified. Eli, at the park, ventured toward the pond, ducks quacking invitingly. The path turned treacherous, his wheel catching a rut, mud swallowing it whole. "Mrs. Patterson," he called, but her phone conversation drowned him out. Joggers passed, averting eyes. A mother with a stroller hurried by. A businessman muttered excuses. Eli's terror mounted, feeling invisible, burdensome. Noah, shortcut bound, glimpsed the scene, panic in Eli's eyes, indifference around him. Without thought, he ran, umbrella discarded, into the fray. This convergence wasn't coincidence. It was the universe aligning two souls from disparate worlds, ready to forge something extraordinary from mud and mercy. The mud clung like a living thing, hungry and unyielding, as Noah reached Eli's side. "Hold on, I'm coming," he called, his voice cutting through the storm. Eli's eyes widened, a mix of fear and faint hope, as this stranger, a black teenager in a drenched uniform, knelt without preamble. Noah assessed quickly. The wheelchair's wheels buried deep, tilting Eli sideways, rain pounding relentlessly. He ripped off his shirt, wrapping it around the handles for grip, muscles bulging as he pulled. No luck, the mud sucked harder. Grabbing nearby branches, he wedged them under, leveraging with all his might, grunting against the resistance. Eli watched, heart racing, as Noah's efforts intensified, his own useless legs a stark reminder of vulnerability. When the chair remained stuck, Noah paused, breath heaving, then decided, "Eli, I'm going to lift you out. Arms around my neck, okay?" Eli nodded, trusting instinctively. This boy saw him, not the chair. Noah hoisted him gently but firmly, cradling like precious cargo, Eli's arms locking tight. Feet slipping in muck, Noah trudged forward, back straining, each step a battle. "You're not heavy," he lied reassuringly. "I'm strong as an ox, carry groceries upstairs all the time." Eli buried his face in Noah's shoulder, feeling safe for the first time since the ordeal began. Reaching the bench, Noah sat, keeping Eli secure, his body blocking rain. "What's your name?" Noah asked, calming him. "Eli. I can't move my legs." "That's okay. We got this." But Eli shivered violently, lips blue from cold. Noah stripped his hoodie, wrapping it around him. "Lean in. Body heat helps." In that embrace, barriers dissolved. Race, class, ability irrelevant. Eli felt valued, seen as a person. Richard's arrival shattered the moment, his Bentley halting, him sprinting through mud, uncaring of ruined shoes. Finding Eli in Noah's arms, muddied but smiling through tears, Richard's relief was palpable. "Dad, Noah saved me." Everyone else walked by. Richard knelt, voice breaking. "Thank you. How can I ever repay?" Noah shrugged modestly. "Just did what anyone should." But Eli interjected, "No, you saw me." In Noah's eyes, Richard glimpsed rare purity, a hero from humble origins who had done the unthinkable. The aftermath unfolded swiftly, Richard's gratitude morphing into action. Spotting Mrs. Patterson finally noticing, he confronted her coldly. "You're fired. Your negligence nearly cost my son everything." She stammered apologies, but Richard waved her off, focusing on the boys. Let me drive you home, Noah. It's the least. Noah hesitated, pride warring with exhaustion, but the cold and distance won. Okay, thank you. In the Bentley, luxury enveloped them. Heated seats thawing Noah's chill, Eli holding his hand like a lifeline. Directing to his rundown building, Noah braced for judgment, but Richard's gaze held only respect. At the door, Eli pleaded, "Can we come up? To thank you properly." Noah relented, leading them into the dim apartment, where Evelyn slept fitfully. The visit would unveil hardships, deepening bonds forged in mud. Upstairs, Evelyn awoke to the muddy trio, confusion yielding to warmth. Richard, seeing the sparse home, rationed pills, empty fridge, red-marked bills, felt a surge of emotion. "Your grandson saved my son," he told her. As details emerged, Evelyn's pride shone. "That's my boy. Hearts for helping." Richard proposed privately: medical care for Evelyn, a scholarship for Noah at Riverside Academy, and friendship for Eli. Not charity, gratitude, an investment in character. Noah's pride clashed. "We don't take handouts." But Evelyn urged, "Sometimes help is a miracle." Negotiating terms, Noah kept his job, stipend for emergencies, sealed the deal. Richard added, "Sunday dinners as family." Tears flowed, Evelyn whispering, "I prayed for this." The offer wasn't pity. It was recognition of Noah's worth, bridging worlds through compassion. 3 months on, Noah thrived at Riverside, uniform crisp, robotics lab fueling dreams. Evelyn's health rebounded, volunteering anew. Eli blossomed, confidence soaring with real friends, thanks to Noah's example. Their joint project, a mud-navigating wheelchair attachment, garnered patents, funds aiding needy families. Bonds deepened, proving family by choice outshone blood. 4 years later, Noah's valedictorian speech moved all. Choose to wade in, get muddy, help changes worlds. Adoption formalized their union, a new home uniting them. Successes multiplied, foundation, inventions, millions raised. Returning to the park, they inspired kindness, reminding, seeing someone stuck in acting creates miracles. Be that person, wade in, for in helping, we save ourselves too. This story isn't just about rescue, it's a call. Spot the stuck, offer help. Compassion erases divides. Like, share, subscribe for more tales of humanity's best.